We're bringing you pictures live from the University Hospital in Grenoble for an update on the progress on what is happening to the Formula One legend Michael Schumacher, who is in a medically induced coma, as we understand, after a skiing accident in Mirabel yesterday, which you may be aware of. Just to bring you up to date as to what has happened and what we know so far. We were told yesterday it was too early to say if the racing legend would pull through. The man who led the operation, the neurosurgeon, told us, that's him on the left there, told us that the next 24 to 48 hours would be vital for Michael Schumacher. And they said they were working hour by hour. So we're waiting to hear what progress there has been over the last 24 hours, what the latest situation is. And just at this point to say, if you were with us yesterday or you've been reading or watching much of Euronews, you'll know that the doctors are using medical terms. So we will do our best to try and translate those into what we might call fish and chip language. But basically, there's a lot of pressure, has been a lot of pressure. The accident caused pressure on Michael Schumacher's brain, and it's easing that pressure, and thus they've put him into a coma. They've lowered his temperature. That's to do with the metabolism, lowering the metabolism so that the body can actually deal with the trauma of the accident. There have been reports that the helmet which he was wearing was smashed open, and a quotation in the German newspaper Bild from credited to one of the safety officers at the ski resort saying that the helmet was full of blood. That is speculation, yet not confirmed. So he was very quickly attended to after the accident, but it was obvious that it was a huge problem, and he was taken to this specialist trauma unit at the University Hospital in Grenoble. The man on the left-hand side, just taking a drink of water, is Professor Stefan Chabades, the neurosurgeon. I think what is going to happen here, we're just waiting for the journalists, television cameras, media to settle down. I think she is the chief executive of the University Hospital, main administrator, I should say, of the University Hospital, and she looks as if she will stage this press conference. So as we look at it, on the left-hand side of your frame is Professor Stefan Chabades, the neurosurgeon who led the operation. And on his right, as we look at it, is the chief anaesthetist. So they've been talking about diffuse hemorrhagic lesions yesterday on both sides of the brain. 44-year-old driver, birthday in a couple of days' time, was due to turn 45. His family have been at his bedside. His wife, Corinna, his daughter, Gina Maria, and his son, Mick, all said to be in a state of shock. And that is what has happened throughout the Formula One fraternity, where Michael Schumacher became a legend after 7 Formula One titles. And in Germany as well, German Chancellor Angela Merkel said she and her government were, like millions of Germans, extremely shocked. The prognosis in terms of rehabilitation can be long and can be difficult to endure as well. Messages of support have come in from across the Formula One fraternity. Formula Ferrari driver, teammate Felipe Massa, who also suffered injuries. So Just the chief administrator saying they're just delaying things for a while or two. Michael Schumacher won titles, started in 1994, if I remember rightly, with Benetton. He won 2 titles, and he switched to Ferrari. Well, really, that is when he became a true legend, winning 5 straight titles from 2000, retiring in 2006. Came back again with Mercedes in 2010. And just looking at, you can see that bank of microphones reflecting interest in this story, not just in Germany, but across the world. So the last member of the panel facing the press has arrived. Understand, doctor from Paris.
Engagé dès lors qu'une information nouvelle était disponible, nous avons proposé ce nouveau point presse qui se fera comme hier en français.
So this is a fresh press conference, we're just being told, because we've got new information about Michael Schumacher. And what she's saying now is late in the evening, that's last night, there was a slight improvement in the situation. Now, she's talking that the scanner showed an improvement, so during the night they carried out a medical procedure, another operation to release some more pressure, some more blood, I think she said, on the brain, and there was a slight improvement this morning. So she's now opened the press conference to the floor. So this is the head anaesthetist. And he's just saying, just to add to what has been said already by the Director General, we did at the end of the afternoon, that's yesterday afternoon, notice he's talking about a transitory improvement, so a slight improvement in the pressure in the brain, the intracranial pressure, and that meant we could take a new scan and not put the patient at risk. So he's just highlighting now what that new scan showed. It showed some signs that it was relatively stable. And, he just repeats that. He says, I want to stress it was relatively stable. No change in the condition. So this was discussed, he said, with his neurosurgical colleagues, and it seemed possible that because of this slightly improved condition, to carry out some surgery. And he's just saying here that we hadn't planned it, so it wasn't planned. So last night, later on yesterday evening, it seemed it would be efficient to relieve the intracranial pressure that's in the brain caused by the accident. So that in the morning, then they looked at new images, images of the brain, and we saw that the evacuation of the blood clot had been carried out relatively effectively. So that's what happened. So what he's saying now, at the current time, we can say the situation is better than it is yesterday. And that's all done then, just to repeat, to a surgical procedure, an operation. So the doctor who carried out what they refer to as the procedure, and he's saying, we all decided together, as Mr. Paya, that's the anaesthetist, explained, we decided to carry out this operation. It was discussed with Michael Schumacher's family because it was a difficult decision. So, I mean, those words in themselves highlight the danger of operating on the brain or having an incident like this has just happened. So we decided to evacuate the blood clot. and they were not the same blood clots, or not related to the blood clots that had been evacuated, and again using these medical terms, when Michael Schumacher came in the first operation. So this was the second medical procedure, another blood clot which was evacuated, and that helps to relieve the intracranial pressure. Just referring to what the anaesthetist, Mr. Pellier, said, the scan after that medical procedure showed that the intracranial pressure was better. He's just adding here that the scan, this is the second scan after the operation, showed that there are other lesions in the brain, which we have to keep an eye on. So we cannot forecast anything or say anything with certainty. We have to keep a close watch, a close eye on the situation and on our patient's stability. And that's all we can say at the moment. And the operation, he's saying, the surgery lasted about 2 hours. Just listening now to some questions from the journalists, media.
La situation est mieux contrôlée qu'hier.
So the question really was to try and sum up the situation, and the anaesthetist just is stressing the situation is better than yesterday, but we cannot say he is out of danger. We've gained extra time in the development as the situation develops, and in the hours to come, once again, I stress they are crucial. So really, stressing what was said yesterday as well, and next hours are critical. Going back again to the medical procedure which they undertook late yesterday evening, in association, he stressed again with the family and saying that wasn't expected, and it was a classical, a typical procedure, and saying it's not something exceptional that they did. If you're just tuning in, by the way, you're watching Euronews Live with pictures coming to us from the University Hospital in Grenoble. And just to repeat really what has been said, the press conference being held, this is the chief anaesthetist just talking about a medical procedure, as they call it, an operation which lasted 2 hours, late yesterday evening, to relieve pressure in the patient, Michael Schumacher's brain, and it was to evacuate blood in a blood clot. Stressing again, they're not letting optimism run away with them. They're merely saying the next hours, as they said yesterday, will be critical. Things develop very quickly, and we have gained a little time, and that's all. Just a question from the floor, from one of the journalists, asking if it helps having the family around. Now, this is a surgeon from Paris. He's also a friend of Michael Schumacher's. He wasn't involved in the operation, and he is just saying that Corinna, his family, his children, his brother are still here. And as has been explained to you, the journalists, he's saying that the decision for this operation, the second operation, was taken in conjunction with the family and the doctors, and indeed myself, and yesterday. And I think yesterday you all felt that, you people who were present here at the press conference, felt we were concerned. It is a little bit better than yesterday. There are ups and downs, but looking at it overall, over 24 hours, it is a little bit better. And the family, in being realistic, is well aware of Michael Schumacher's situation. So they're asking if they are reawakening him, if they're going to bring him out of the coma, and the anaesthetist saying, no, he's still in a medically induced coma. No question of awakening him or bringing him out of that coma. So no question, Michael Schumacher remains in a medically induced coma. There are other treatments being put in place. I wonder will he expand on what those other treatments are. So I suppose the critical question from the floor, is he fighting for his life? And the doctor says we cannot say he is not. So is he still in a critical position? The situation is not the same as yesterday, we're being told.
Mon collègue vous l'a dit, l'heure par heure en réanimation, ça signifie...
Once again, as yesterday, if you've been following the story, doctors are shying away, are cautious of making a clear prognosis. The news today, effectively, as the doctor is just saying, is the news is better. We're not in the same situation as yesterday. Still critical, watching it hour by hour, still in a medical-induced coma. And emphasizing again, we're here to tell you what happened over 24 hours. We will not tell you, we will not look into the future because it would be premature to do that. His body temperature is lowered and he is maintained in a medically induced coma, and that will continue for as long as we judge necessary. Surgery, everything went well, and overnight everything progressively improved. The situation this morning is, let's say, stable. So it would appear that Michael Schumacher's situation has been stabilized. Reflecting again on what led to this operation yesterday, and they're saying when they saw that scan yesterday, they admit, speaking on behalf of all the doctors, that they were surprised that we saw this small improvement. So there's a lot of repetition going on here from the doctors, who are continuing to reflect on the fact that there was a second operation. It took place because they saw a small improvement after a scan, and there is no forecast, no prognosis yet again, no forecast for the future. This is Michael Schumacher's friend, also a doctor, who's been at his side. He's come forward. He said he wants to stress one thing. He said, I just want to stress that we have decided to talk about factual issues, and everything will be said in a transparent way. But it is impossible, and it would be dishonest of us to look to the future as to what the prognosis will be tomorrow or in 2 years. It would be stupid to talk about that. We are talking about things that have happened and that are happening, but we can't talk to you about things that will happen. And it's very important. And I'm asking you, speaking I suppose not just to the journalists there, but to everyone, not to make forecasts in any one direction. So emphatic and strong words from Michael Schumacher's friend, that they're talking about what has happened in the last 24 hours. They cannot forecast and they will not give a prognosis, and they're asking journalists not to do that. While I was explaining that, a journalist asked, will he be transferred to Germany? And that is, again, that's all conjecture. It will be decided by the team at which point a transfer could be considered. But at the current point, the work we're doing as a team, I would say that the support we've had from quite a broad medical community, we think it's important that Michael Schumacher is here and that he's treated here. And the question of being transferred to Germany will not arise until later. And again, somewhat repetitive, a journalist is asked about the next 24 hours.
de corriger un certain nombre d'anomalies qui persistent.
We have a medical strategy, and that is to correct a certain number of anomalies which are connected to the resuscitation.
De se donner un peu de temps dans cette phase de stabilité.
We want to give ourselves a little time in the stabilization procedure, and that wasn't the situation yesterday.
C'est vrai que heure par heure, ces heures qui passeront, qui seront peut-être
every hour, and
seront des points
with every hour
à considérer par la suite.
That passes, and we judge him to be stable. That's an important step to consider with regard to what comes later.
Ce qui pourrait advenir, pour l'instant, la situation est stabilisée une nouvelle fois. Dans une situation meilleure que celle qu'on a.
Again, just conjecture here and trying to dampen looking into the future and what may or may not happen to Michael Schumacher. Just the doctors just trying to dampen that down, saying we cannot look into the future. The scan was done this morning. That's the scan after the operation which he had, and we will do one again when we think it's useful. It's a very tentative steps forward by the team which are assembled here at this press conference. Just clarifying some of the details of this operation which they've been talking about. It happened at 10 o'clock last night. They said earlier it was 2 hours. It evacuated blood in a blood clot.
On prend des décisions médicales, toujours collégialement.
I'm just talking in general now.
Les collègues neurochirurgiens et en général,
as always in a situation like this, decisions are taken within a team, with the neurosurgeons, the anaesthetists, a lot of people discussed, and we will do this with anyone who suffers from head injuries, and we explain to the family the decisions that are made. We explain in detail the risks and the risks of after effects, the consequences as well, and then the final decision is taken. So medical considerations and then the family involved in discussions. So as with yesterday, if you're with us, if you've been following the story, the doctor's cautious and adamant, emphatic, they will not look to the future on the health, progress or otherwise of Michael Schumacher.
Qui était vraiment très préoccupante. Et il y a eu
reflecting on yesterday, the anaesthetist is saying, as we were saying, there was a period of intracranial pressure, and following treatment, and I won't go into details, he's saying, there was a period of improvement. And that allowed us to do a scan without taking any risks.
Bien sûr, sous surveillance et continue et sous assistance respiratoire.
There was a close surveillance throughout, of course, especially of his breathing. The scan was done.
On va dire
that showed us those signs that were, well, what I'd say is they were rather unexpected signs. Just quoting the anaesthetist directly now. And that immediately made us think of the strategy that we should offer. And we talked to each other as a team, we talked to the family. The situation improved. And it is better than yesterday. But we're still in, you probably heard that word fragile, we're in a situation that is, shall I say, fragile. So, we're saying that now, and maybe this is a little bit of a warning. He's saying perhaps tomorrow we might have a more alarmist tone. We cannot predict the future. That's probably, again, the very clear message which came through yesterday and is coming through again today. So the chief administrator is saying, what we are saying is if something new happens, we will contact you. We cannot say we're going to give daily updates. If tomorrow something major happens, we'll talk to you, but it is not planned that we will be doing a daily news update.
Oui, alors là, il faut bien
That
préciser
really,
une chose.
I think, reflects the fluidity of the situation.
Hématomes au niveau intra-crânien,
Closely monitoring the
expliqué
patient,
par mon collègue,
and
c'était des hématomes qui étaient
he's saying,
hors du
just
cerveau
the
lui-même.
doctor is saying about the blood clots
Vous voyez, l'hématome
still in the brain.
c'est-à-dire en dehors de la méninge ou sous-dural, près du cerveau.
And he's reflecting again on the blood clots. The blood clot which was evacuated yesterday wasn't, in fact, in the brain. It was in the skull area.
On a vu déjà d'emblée qu'il y avait des hématomes qui étaient dans le cerveau.
You've been watching with us on Euronews. These are live pictures which have been coming from the University Hospital in Grenoble and talking about the last few hours
Et il y avait
they've been treating Michael Schumacher. He's had a second operation. It was to relieve tension. It was to evacuate a blood clot in the skull. We'll keep you up to date throughout the day on the story of Michael Schumacher.
Et c'est pour ça que